what was your actual experience like?
It was like,
Yes.
okay, so these things are hard to explain because when you're in it, you're just like, you got all these things that get split up, and you got the mind like, man, I want to understand this thing. What's going on here? What is this? What is reality? It's like, and you're just like, whatever you are, you're just like checking it out. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, try to understand. Or sometimes you're just like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, can you just melt into this and just turn into the liquid goo and take the Disney ride down the chutes and let the aliens do their repairs? Like, just enjoy. Yeah, sure, observe, learn, grow, but also let me take my ride,
Welcome to the Myself Wellness Podcast. I'm Charles Patty, the voice of Myself Wellness, along with my co-hosts Christina Thomas and Jamie Venziel. 9 years ago, I began my journey to self-awareness and healing. Like many who have faced personal struggles, I felt lost and struggled to find lasting healing. It wasn't until I discovered alternative healing methods that I began to see a real change in my life. This show will help you unlock your true potential through healthy lifestyle practices and transformations. Join us as we explore personal stories, expert advice, and practical tips to help you step into your true potential and level up. Welcome to the Myself Wellness Podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Myself Wellness Podcast. And today we are here with the one and only Chris Dyer.
Woo.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I have been an admirer of Chris's art for a really long time, and it is a true honor and pleasure to have him here at the facility. Thank you so much for being on the show, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, Charles. Thank you, Christina,
Thank you
for having me over.
Excellent, man. So listen, first off, I want to talk about this.
Oh, thanks, man.
Chris's book, his new book, Shamanic Journey. And if you guys haven't got this yet, there is incredible art in here. So I suggest everybody gets a copy of it as soon as they possibly can.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so stoked. It took me like months to lay it out all myself, other than the whole part where I travel the world, paint murals, paint canvases. But then I had to write the book and work with a publisher in San Francisco and publish thousands of copies, tour it all over the North America.
Wow.
Which is beautiful. Connect with my fan base and sign a bunch of books for them.
Love it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And share my heart, most importantly.
So one of the first questions that I'd love to ask you is when did you know that art was going to be a direction that you were going to be heading in for a profession? I mean, I'm sure it's been a passion pretty much your whole life, but when did you really lock in and say, this is the direction I'm going?
Yes, I was always an artist. I was always doing art. I didn't think of it as a career or path because the adults always tell you you make no money from art and the goal of life is making money. So then you're like, okay, I won't do that then. But around 16, 17, when I'm finishing high school, I'm like, I'm only good at art. I'm not good at maths or science or history and all this other stuff that doesn't interest me. But I like to draw and I like to make sculptures and I like to make all these creative things. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll be an animator or a tattoo artist. And then at age 17, I moved to Canada and Ottawa and then Montreal. And I did college for 7 years, studied as many kinds of art as possible, and then started my career over 20 years ago.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
My favorite piece of art when I was flipping through your book was those little Mario sculptures.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, and
So
I
cool.
have a feeling Charlie's going to be a big fan of that too, because Mario is his thing. So
I like painting random things. Sure, a canvas, you can say a lot in a square or rectangle, but I'm a toy collector. I got hundreds to thousands of action figures from the 80s, 90s, etc. And I found these big chunky Marios in Peru for $20 each. And then I just spent months painting them and making them into a sculpture. And yeah, it's fun. I like to paint just random objects. That's why I painted skateboard graphics for so long, and then learned how to spray paint so I could paint big structures and murals and boats and cars and all the things. Everything I wanted to be made out of magic.
heck yeah.
What's the biggest mural you've ever painted?
That was in St. Petersburg where I live now. Like a year or two ago, it was like 100 feet wide,
Wow.
30 feet tall.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah, it was
How
great.
long did that take?
A week. Yeah, a week. It was for Shine Mural Festival. They gave me a nice boom lift and support, and even friends showed up to help me fill in some parts. And yeah, and now it's outside of a storage company, and there's trucks parked of it in front of it all the time. So
Love
no
that.
way you can see it clearly.
There's
But whatever, impermanence.
like
Awesome.
it was dope because like you do so many different kinds of art where it's like so versatile where like, you know, I saw you've painted cars and you paint skateboards and like I mean even like I saw a piece of content last night where you stuck some of your beautiful art on a coffee mug and it's just like but like there's so many different things that you do. Is there anything that you favor doing? Is there something like this is my jam or is it just all different things that you love doing?
I certainly like doing some things more than others, but it's like mood because if I'm just outside painting murals under the sun day after day, my body gets really tired. So then I'm like, okay, I need to stay home now and just sit in front of a canvas and not move an inch and just advance on this very slow, tedious process of laying color that lasts months. And then that gets old too, sitting in the studio, just like, you know, in your little bubble day after day, it's kind of maddening. It's like, okay, let's go back to the streets and, you know, get under the sun and rain again to do murals. So yeah, just variety and novelty is the spice of life, I think.
For sure. I noticed, like, of course, that, you know, one of the reasons that I really started following and falling in love with your art is because of the psychedelic feel that it has to it. Was that always an like a direction that you had, or like what transitioned you into this form of art?
Something I've come to the realization from doing psychedelics is that I'm a psychedelic creature on the other side of reality. So I was always psychedelic even before I did psychedelics. So when I look at my art as a kid, I was pretty much drawing. Like if you see my first book, this is my second book, but I have a first book which covers like my kid years and my time in Peru and tree planting and all this stuff. And I was always doing just trippy psychedelic stuff, but say like that, like I grew up in the 80s as yourself, everything was psychedelics, like Transformers and you know, that's so colorful and trippy, robots turning into cars and planes, like that's trippy as hell. And the colors that came with it, even just more you know, cookie cutter cartoons like let's say G.I. Joe's, it's about like tourists versus you know, soldiers, but they're all tripped out. They look like they come from a different galaxy and they got a robot arm, and just the imagination allows you to flow. So that's my generation. And for me, that's psychedelic, because that's what is psychedelic. Psychedelic is like the world of spirit that people tap into. And all these people who did the 80s cartoons, they were hippies in the 60s. So they're just bringing in that flair for us kids to being absorbed. So I'd say I was always part of that colorful, joyful, spiritual expression. And only till you start taking medicines and go to the other side of reality, you realize like, oh, like this is a real thing on different dimensions.
That's awesome, man. I
Mhm.
love it. So with the psychedelics and that part of, you know, your story and like I love talking about this kind of stuff. When did you really start journeying or experimenting with psychedelics?
Well, as your normal teen or human guy, I started using psychedelics more on a like a party recreational vibe. We all start with weed, I guess the gateway drug, you know. And actually, my second one was San Pedro, because me growing up in Lima, me and my surfer friends would go around our like BMXs with a towel and a machete. And then would find the San Pedro cactuses growing at the entrances of the houses, all the houses in Lima. And we cut the ones that had enough lines. And then we'd take it to the, you know, in our towels to the beach house and cut it and cook it and then trip out all night and philosophize a little bit. But we're like 17, 18 years old, just stupid kids. And then I would do mushrooms and go to the punk shows, but it was never really intentional. I only really got intentional once I went tree planting, and tree planting was my big effort to disconnect from my personal matrix, because by the time I was living in Ottawa, Canada, or Montreal, and I was just a big drunkard and, chasing girls, breaking things, hurting my friends, hurting myself, very depressed from just being a destruction monster. So I went out tree planting by myself. I changed my name, so I wasn't Chris Dyer for tree planting. I was Carlos Sanchez. And back then, we had phones. So you could just make up whatever story, and that's who you were in the moment, and just
Isn't
give
that
yourself.
cool? You could be whoever you wanted to be
Yeah,
before social media.
just
and
clean
cell phones.
slate. Let's invent a new character. Let's give my avatar a chance to be a good guy in this. New people, they don't know my past. Sometimes when you surround yourself with people from the past, it's hard to unstick yourself from like, oh, I remember when you got drunk and did that thing. Like,
Yeah.
Uh, so that was my
I
chance
can,
to.
I can relate to that a lot. And it's like a energy that you just want to break free from, because we really want to grow and shine, and it's hard. It's like the crab trying to like claw its way out of the bucket, and all of the other crabs are like trying to pull the crab back down. It's like, I really feel that that's an important message for people out there, is that energy is contagious. And if people are putting you down, or if people aren't being supportive of your dreams, or recognizing, hey, like, anybody can change, and this person's doing so much positive things with their life now, find some new friends.
Totally. And I didn't throw my friends in the garbage. I just went to the north of Canada and hanged out with hippies for 2 or 3 months, and then hitchhiked across Canada. And that was like my kind of like trying something new. But I also did mushrooms here and there, and I would sit by the river, or like what it is to be a tree. Let's just be a tree. And then experience what it is to be a tree. So that's me like investigating more, and so on. Decades of research.
Yeah.
You can call it that.
Yeah.
So I've been around the block with different psychedelics, and each one has helped me in different ways.
I love
You've
that.
lived a super interesting life.
Thank you.
That's awesome, man.
You too.
Heck yeah, man. So I guess like it would be cool if we could, before we had Chris come out to, do an amazing piece of artwork for us, which he's actually still currently working on here at the facility. But coming here to the clinic yesterday, Chris actually got to have a medicine experience with ketamine. I would love to ask you, first off, like, when you came to the facility, like, what was the vibe? What was the energy? What did it feel like, a good atmosphere for you?
Yeah. Well, it's different from the places I do psychedelics, because it's a clinic, it's professional, it's curated for people not like me.
Yeah.
I'll do it in like, I'll do my medicines in, many strange places I end up, but not usually like a clinic. Like clinics or hospital has like a connotation of like people are sick and they're suffering. This is not like that. This is like, well, we are all sick and suffering to some degree, but not to the point where like, we're scaring people around us, hopefully. But it just felt like safe and clean and professional, and like safe is like the main word. And like even me as an experienced psychonaut, every time I show up to do a medicine, I'm still nervous,
Oh,
because
of
you
course.
don't know what you're jumping into, especially with a new medicine.
I get so much anxiety trying something new, because I'm like, what's going to happen?
Right.
Like, is it going to hurt me? Am I going to be okay? The anxiety of trying something new is always just so scary and overwhelming for me.
Totally. And that's a super healthy protection mechanism that humans have. But you want to be in a place where like, okay, these guys got me. They're not going to let me go over or crack my avatar. And yeah, and the experience reflected the safety of the presentation.
Cool, man. I'm happy to hear that. I would love to know if you're okay with sharing a little bit of it. Like, what was your actual experience like?
It was like,
Yes.
okay, so these things are hard to explain, because when you're in it, you're just like, you got all these things that get split up, and you got the mind like, man, I want to understand this thing. Like, what's going on here? What is this? What is reality? Da, da, da. And it's like, and you're just like, whatever you are, you're just like checking it out. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, try to understand. Or sometimes you're just like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, can you just melt into this and just turn into the liquid goo and take the Disney ride down the chutes and let the aliens do their repairs? Like, just enjoy. Yeah, sure, observe, learn, grow, but also let me take my ride,
Heck yeah, man.
So
Yes.
That's pretty much what goes through my head every single time.
yeah, pretty much.
That's a really good description of it.
I know. I actually love that. That was beautiful.
But I'm very observant, and I'm like, is this even pleasurable? And I'm like, does it feel pleasurable? I don't feel like, like say like the orgasm of sex is obviously pleasurable. It's like an explosion of pleasure. It wasn't that. It's not like I'm like orgasming on the medicine, but I'm finding a really nice middle ground where I'm certainly not in pain or struggling or feeling anything negative. And even if there's like, say like my mind goes into a negative pattern, it was so cushy that there was a lot. It was almost like in a car with the airbags. It's like I'm surrounded by airbags and I'm super protected by this, numbing medicine, that even when the negativity comes out, I'm like really like there's nothing stinging me or hurting me. I'm ready to be stung or hurt. Like an Aya sometimes like puts the knife in and turns it so you can be like, you see, you're still alive. You'll still keep it going even when I turn that knife and you're in maximum emotional pain. That's just another emotion in the spectrum of expressions of your body communicating with itself, but you don't have to let it take it over yourself. With this, it's like, once again, it's disassociative. So you're like observing the negative and seeing it as you observe me, like, okay, cool, I understand. Okay, now I can understand why I feel that. But we can also turn the keys and let the codes be corrected so it doesn't have to keep on running programs of fear and blockages in my everyday body. I'm just like, all right, aliens, do your work, turn your keys, change your codes, let's go. I want to come out of this with like an extra layer of protection. So yesterday I was more like visualizing like they were putting a thin coat of gold protection on the inside of my aura. So that, or was it outside? Either, I don't understand this technology. I'm just observing, and this could all just be in my imagination too. But basically my nervous system gets triggered by the world. I get like anxiety, I get fears, but I'm always safe. I know I'm always good, but I get a little bit like, by reality. So if I can just have a little bit something to buffer or protect my nervous system while still allowing the influence of the world come in, I think that's a good one. So that was my process yesterday. It's very personal and particular. I don't think this will happen to everybody. It's like, come to my self-wellness and get a liquid gold aura protection on your
It's a golden endorsement.
Right?
That's beautiful. Listen, like with what you were just describing before this, though, I think that we're very similar and have a lot in common where like I had a tendency throughout my life to absorb a lot of energy, outside energy, which triggered anxiety and depression and these uncomfortable feelings in my body. And it's because like I personally, I'm an empath, and I'm sure that you probably are too. And that's one thing that psychedelic therapy or psychedelic healing and these medicines have given me the ability to do is to do more observing and less absorbing. I mean, it still happens, but like, now I have tools in my belt where I can like ground myself and meditate and do breath work and things to like really pop myself out of it. But like, did you personally notice that with those kind of things that psychedelics helped you in that area as well?
If psychedelics help me ease my nervous system?
Yeah, that, and just like do like not absorb as much and be able to observe situations, or do you still feel the energies as strongly as you did before?
I think I feel more, if anything.
Really?
And I'm trying to learn to find that sweet spot because like humans as defense mechanism just put on all these layers and armors of defense. I grew up in Peru as a sensitive Canadian guy, all boys school, white dude, all the things was coming at me. I gotta protect myself in an environment that's constantly attacking me. And I created massive amounts of armors around me, and psychedelics is just like, let's remove all these armors one box at a time. You don't have to hide inside all these layers of protection. You can be out there open-hearted, but once you're open-hearted, you're way vulnerable, so you got to find your strength in your vulnerability. I am happy, vulnerable, and know that I can get hurt, but I want to have my heart open to both release love and accept love and everything else that comes in the way. So we open up, but then we also got to learn, like, okay, where are we creating some kind of like diamond auric protection? And that's where like me hanging out with like psychics helps me visualize it better, because they can see it. And then it's like, okay, Chris, if you're going to a place with lots of people, maybe have an intention before you enter a place. Maybe bring your tourmaline crystal to, keep you grounded in your pocket, or, like calling your guides and protectors to kind of like have a little invisible entourage to protect you from any creepy energy around. So like we got to be conscious of how we hold our energy regardless of what psychedelics we take, though psychedelics kind of like teaches you to visualize it. Like yesterday after the treatment, I'm painting all day, and I'm like feeling my energy and be like, oh, look how good look how well you're holding your energy today. Let's keep it holding in this way, no leakages, no weird things. Something that's been my experience lately is that because I'm so open and I just shine, it's like I go to places and just like a bright light. So disembodied spirits are just kind of like curious, being like, what's up with that guy? And then they kind of like come close and be like, oh, maybe I can hitch a ride on this dude and it'll take me somewhere nice. And I end up picking up, I don't know if it's ghosts or disembodied spirits, but my psychic's always like, oh, you got somebody taking a ride on you, and we got to clean you out. So I just want to find systems where I'm like both open, but not picking up spiritual hitchhikers.
I feel that. And one thing that you just talked about really resonated with me too, where like I've always been a good-hearted person, and like I've always worn my heart on my sleeve, or I did for my earlier years. And then I started wearing masks, where it's like I'm this tough gangster guy that has these like, like I put this block up and I almost acted out in aggression so people would just be like scared of me in a way, so they didn't really see what was going on with inside of me. And it was because I was living in like a constant state of fear of like people seeing that and recognizing that within me and making me vulnerable. And I really feel personally that like what psychedelics did for me was it took me from a place of living in fear to a place of living in love. And like, it's actually because psychedelic medicines gave me the ability to love myself enough to actually be authentic and be my genuine self. And I think that that's a really beautiful thing that you embody and you do, is that you are truly your authentic self, man.
Try my best. I try to be like, this is me with all my kinks, and I judge myself plenty and be like, oh, I'm such a dork. Oh man, I shouldn't have said that. And also, I communicate so differently than most people I know that people don't understand me, or they take things in a different way that I intended. Or sometimes when you're like the quote unquote famous artist, they put you like in a different category or pedestal or just separation. And then you can just be like, hey, what's up? And joke around or tease somebody. And because of that separation, they're taking it in a weird way. When I'm like, I'm just trying to relate to you like any other homie.
Yeah.
But because you're making me to be this other person, like you're taking it in a wrong way. So I'm always trying to like be myself, but not step on anyone's toes. That's like my main goal these days.
I feel that, man. Heck yeah, brother.
Yeah. So I've not been to any other ketamine clinic, so I don't have any point of comparison. But I've being as I've observed these, what are we? Some kind of psychedelic renaissance, or at least like at the gates of it, where people are like, oh, psychedelics are not this criminal poison that's killing our kids. It's like, no, this is like medicine that's ancient and traditional and been there, you know, for thousands of years to help humanity awaken, remember that we're actually spirit on the other side of reality, just playing this beautiful video game and making the most out of it and these experiences. And it's so rad to be here and all the magic we could do if we only really realize that we're God playing to be humans, you know?
Yes. Yep.
So we're doing these medicines in different formats. And this, as I said, this is the first ketamine clinic I've been to. So you have to have this presentation that's professional to the kind of demographic you bring in. Aside of that, yesterday when I was painting, I was asking you like, okay, but what's happening behind the curtains of reality? Like, what's the energetical, spiritual composition of your clinic once Eric goes home happy and you're left with maybe what, 7 to 15 portals that just got opened in your office? Because that's what I'm like more curious about. Once again, I don't have any psychic powers, but I hang out with like psychics who inform me. Like say, like I was in Denver last week at the Shroomski party, and Era is just eating mushrooms, and my psychic's kind of freaking out, like, oh my God, like we're like bathing in each other's energy because Era is so open and Era is so permeable. It's like a traffic jam of energies, and there's not one person here holding like shamanic traditional space or a little altar to ground all this energy, absorb it, or pass around some saging devices. So I asked you about that yesterday, like, what are you doing with all these portals you're opening? He's like, oh yeah, we keep this place also spiritually clean because, you got your own level of abilities to see energies, which I think is super crucial. You need somebody who can see past the veil when they're sober too, to kind of like be aware of like, oh my God, like people are shedding their traumas on this chair. We need to clean the dust out,
Yeah.
the energetical dust off. So the next person's not going in there and sitting in that trauma that somebody just shedded. That's super important. And I don't know if a lot of people do that.
No. So like we really are very mindful of being able to recognize that this is a spiritual healing that's happening here.
This is a bridge. It's where east meets west.
And we sage our facility, and everybody that works here has done so much of their own personal work to make sure that they're vibrating at high frequencies. Because listen, when we really get into these kind of some conversations where it's like, okay, if people are shedding things that no longer serve them, right? How do we avoid having an attachment to that energy clinging on to us? I truly believe it's a vibrational thing. And as long as I'm keeping my vibration high by treating myself like the extension of the divine that I truly am, keeping this temple clean, making sure that what I speak is positive, what I listen to is positive, what I watch is positive, that my intentions are pure, then it makes it that kind of energy unable to attach to you. I personally believe that. Now, listen, if you're going to a treatment facility, or if there is a treatment facility where people haven't done the internal work and they're not living by spiritual guidelines and they're vibrating at low frequencies, I do believe that after people shed off trauma and those kind of energies, that it can attach to those people. And then all of a sudden it's like creating this ticking time bomb of like spiritual uncleanliness that could definitely affect people in a very negative way.
Well, everything's resonant. So like if the conductor of a ship is emanating a certain frequency and then their workers are catching it and then the patients come in, everything's like hitting each other to some degree. So if anything, there's great pressure and I don't know if it's expectations, but responsibility for you to keep your vibration high enough. At least nobody's perfect, and you got your good days and bad days, I suppose, as all of us. But yeah, you gotta like keep your vibes clean when holding space for people.
Yeah, no, I like literally like, I go to the gym and I work out every day after I get out of work. And one of the reasons I do that is because it raises my vibration. I'm like keeping myself on top of my cleanliness. I sauna after I work out. I like detoxify my body all the time. I ground myself after I do that. And I hang out with the family when everybody goes to bed. I meditate and do my breath work. And it's like, these are all daily practices that I do, not to just make sure that I'm keeping myself the highest vibrational version of me that I can for me personally, but for my family and for the clients that we have and treat at our facility.
Yeah, the medicine takes on the vibration of the person administering it. So it's really important to us to find the right staff to administer the medicine.
So
Yeah.
And we've watched on bad days in the past with some of our previous nurses, like
that,
how it influences people's journeys.
and so
Yeah. You want everything so on point because like that's why like I know I'm so picky about like my journeys, and it's like things like the right kind of music or the smells in the air or
Yeah.
the kind of blanket you put on. Like you want everything to be so comfy and safe and clean and nice, and the person holding space for you, and that nurse yesterday was very lovely. They gotta understand, like, it's like we're all coming here a little bit crazy. So if they can't take my crazy talk, then I'm done, like.
no, like, and like, that's one of the things too, is like being able to meet people where they're at. And then on top of it, everybody that works at our facility has done the medicine. And I think that's a really important part of anybody that is creating a space where there's healing happening. If you're not being served medicine by somebody that's taken on the vibration of that medicine before, I don't know if the healing experience is going to be as positive as it would be if not. And then it might not even be a good healing experience. And so, even in the 50s when they were doing research with LSD, right? And they were using it for AUD, which is alcohol use disorder. The first thing that they told the psychiatrist back then was, take the medicine. Like, go home, take the medicine, even though I'm not telling people to go home and take medicine, responsible, safe use for psychedelics. That being said, though, you need to be on that frequency so you can really hold space for somebody and help them come to that frequency, rather than you give somebody the medicine, and if you had done the inner work yourself, you might be able to take them up to here, where if somebody hasn't done any of the inner work and they're serving medicine, you're only going to go as high as that vibration possibly.
Right. But you also want to be understood. Like if I came out and I knew that the nurse has never been outside of time or space, I can't relate. It's like be like, oh, well, I went to outside of time and space, and she was like, oh, that sounds lovely. Good for you. And like, no, I want you to know, like, I want to tell my nurse, like, isn't it so cool how we're creating reality together with our consciousness? And this is just like a group think matrix manifestation that we're all playing together. And she's like, yeah, it's amazing. It's like, awesome.
We are the manifestors of reality and the co-creators of existence, and my outer world is a direct reflection of my inner world. So this is where that saying comes from: as I heal myself, I heal the world. And one of the reasons that Christina and I aren't listen, by no means is it a prerequisite where it's like, oh, if you don't do the medicine, I'll never work with you, right? But at the same time, though, we probably wouldn't hire somebody at our facility that wouldn't be open-minded to do the medicine. And it's because we heard this story about somebody that went to another clinic, and
we've heard multiple stories.
Multiple stories, but this is the one that really sticks with me, where people have ego deaths on ketamine at the right doses, and it's like a death experience, and then there's a rebirth after it that comes out of the equation. But somebody had that experience and they came out of it and they told the nurse, and the nurse is like, oh, don't pay attention to that. It's just a side effect of the medicine.
Yeah. You just made it up.
Yeah, it was
wasn't
in your
real.
head. It wasn't real. And it's like,
and it really, that wasn't the right way to integrate that person. So it did more harm than it did good.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so important for us to be working with Gina, our integration specialist, who not only has done the ketamine treatments, but used to help people with 5-MeO DMT and ayahuasca and serves combo, and these are the kind of people where if you're researching and you're looking to have these kind of experiences in a facility, I would really highly suggest that you're going to a place with people that have had experience like that, so you know that you're going to be cared for, taken care of, the vibration, the frequency is going to be right, and you're going to have the best healing experience possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Totally.
So listen, I would love to hear, because there's a question that we usually ask people, and it's towards the end of the show, of like, if you had a message for the world, man, like what's your message coming from the heart for the world?
It's so cheesy though.
I love that.
Oh, I love it.
That's perfect.
It's just
That's perfect. I already love it.
Just don't worry, be happy.
Yes.
I know. Like there's so many things. Let's just be nice to each other and respect each other and their differences, because everybody is different. And let's try not to judge others and judge ourselves so hard. Let's do the work, because like, you know, we deserve to be happy, but that doesn't happen by be like, I want to be happy, and then you're happy. Like you gotta kind of like deal with the stuff that's blocking your happiness. And you could do that without psychedelics, but you know, it takes longer. There's like lots of practices and yogas and meditations and good eating and exercise and a million things we can do to be healthier, less crazy human beings. And to those who are ready for something quicker and maybe more intense, psychedelics are a great gift. I myself, you know, enjoy doing it when I'm ready. I don't do them all the time. I got mad respect for those portals. I gotta say that the Ketamine portal was a very easy, mellow, not mellow as in like not potent, but just smooth, just like gradual up and gradual down, like very smooth landing to what, you know, I've had psychedelics experiences that are like 0 to 1,000,000 in 1 second, and when I crash down, I'm like, what happened? And am I holding on to dear reality for days after that. And these are with like full-on shamans in Mexico and stuff, and they weren't able to hold, you know, as good space for me on the integration side. They're just like, oh, you're a pro, you got this, dude. And then I'm like not sleeping at night, fearing death, because I don't know what reality is anymore. So it's important to be in, you know, nice, chill vibes, you know, where they're like, where the practitioner or the space holder or the shaman's a tricky word. You don't want to just call anybody a shaman, but like this is a shamanic process in a way, or, you know, that they know all the kinks that could come down your way, and they're ready to hold space for you through that.
I love that.
That's important.
I have another question that came up through the answer that you just gave, and it's, what's Chris Dyer's practice look like, man? Like everybody has their practice. I kind of got into some of mine with the sauna and the breath work and the meditation. What is your practice to keep yourself grounded and keep yourself the highest version of yourself look like?
I try to be present all the time if possible. I know that sounds like, yeah, like difficult, but I always try to live my life, but always have that, you know, that step aside from myself and be like, okay, what am I feeling? Ooh, you feel that feeling, huh? Be careful. Don't react from that feeling, Chris. I'm always trying to step aside from myself, observe what's happening in my thoughts, in my feelings, in what I'm doing in my actions, be aware of how I'm conducting in this video game. And then there's the like, oh, what's right and wrong? That's a deeper question that takes not so easy to answer many times, because sometimes when you do something good for somebody, you're hurting somebody else. And then when you want to go and do something good for them, you're hurting. And sometimes you're stuck in the middle, and it's like, I don't know what to do. I just want to make everybody happy. That's my nature. But practices, I'm a workaholic. I work a lot. Painting is a meditation, so at least part of my work is painting these things that are fun and you know, like I just gotta paint, and then I'm in my mind, and then I gotta like, you know, contain this thing that's going nuts all the time. I skateboard. I got a mini ramp in my backyard, So days that my knees are not hurting, I'll go to
How
the
do your
back.
knees feel today?
Great. Yeah. No, I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah,
good.
yeah. No
Good.
inflammation.
Yeah.
But I'll go back and I'll skate for 20 minutes, for half an hour. And I'm not trying to get any new tricks, just trying to get the tricks already good. No, and skateboarding is all about balancing. And if you're not balancing right, you're going to fall and eat shit. And so you want to really concentrate to get your slight movements in and out. And that's a really nice meditation too, because I can be thinking about my life problems or whatever my mind wants to chew on when I'm trying to get like, a little skateboard trick. So that's a good practice for me to shake out the cobwebs, the energetical extras, or just like if I'm angry, it's like, let's go and skate for 10 minutes. And then by the end of it, I'm like, fuck it. Yesterday when you told me, how you doing, Chris? I'm in a, what was it? What did I tell you? I'm in a fluffy cloud of love.
That was epic, man. I was just like, I was just like, oh yes, this is beautiful, because that's exactly what that's what I felt when I did a lot of my ketamine treatments, was this overwhelming, warm, loving feeling. And it really was like, it was a very high vibrational place. And it was one of the most, other than like MDMA experiences, which is just like a love bomb, it was like one of the most loving kind of feeling experiences that I had ever had on medicines before. Can you relate at all?
Yeah, no, totally. Because when you're connecting to your essence, to your soul, to your oversoul, to the non-human self. So like yesterday, I stopped being Chris, and then I was just the energy that is in me, and then I'm letting it like, I don't know, even understand what's going on, but it's flowing with the other energies around, is becoming part of the spiritual oneness. I don't know if it's like the higher realms or just astral. I don't really understand these things, nor I'm trying to get my mind to figure it out for the rest of us. But it feels good. I would be very interested in being in that like nice, cushiony, protective vibe, and then going to the DMT world in a very, you see, that's where I prefer Aya over DMT. Well, DMT is so easy. Boom, I'm there. Oh my God, this is crazy. Boom, I'm down. It's like, okay, like let's pick up the pieces. And I'm not the kind of guy who's like, let's go again. Like, I'm like, let's absorb this and let's think about it for a few days and then like, realize who we are. Aya goes up there slower and then eventually go there, and not always takes you to the DMT land, but sometimes it does. But you get there one step at a time. So you're feeling it coming and be like, oh, I can see it in the horizon. I know this is coming. Like, ooh, I see some movement. And then you end up being there, and then you're there for like an hour, and then you get exhausted. It's like, okay, enough already. Thank you. I know I really want to be here, but like, it's getting a bit much now. My body is freaking out a little bit. So I would be interested in that ayahuasca long-term DMT exploration without my body feeling so nauseous. And because when I'm in the Aya stuff, I'm God and I'm the universe. Meanwhile, my body is like, oh my God, I want to puke. This sucks. What's going on, Chris? Please stop this. Like, I got different messages going at me at the same time. So if we could remove the negative things and I can just enjoy the interdimensional explorations, that'd be a nice scenario, I imagine.
Well, that's one of the really,
does.
oh yeah, that's one of the awesome things that it's about DMTX, is that it takes those negative side effects, and let's not call them negative, but the uncomfortable side effects out of the equation, where you don't feel like you're going to be nauseous the whole time.
And that has a purpose too, though.
No, for sure. The purgatory parts and the energetic purging and stuff. I also believe that we can do like an energetic form of purging just by vibrating at high frequencies, though, because we're shedding off the lower frequencies. But one of the great things about DMTX protocol is that, let's say that you had been there for that long and you're like, okay, I want to go back. You can turn it off, which is really amazing. And then so it's like you can dial it in to the point where, okay, we're going to get you into the peak breakthrough state and we can hold you there, but it's like, okay, I've had enough. I want to come back down and land on Earth here. And then
Yeah.
it's like, so now you stop the IV and all of a sudden it's like a normal DMT trip, within a few minutes, you're back here at baseline.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great to have that option. Yeah. Not that I have to be in control over these portals so bad, but it's nice if you can. And going back to Aya, like, just because I would do like an intravenous DMT, long-term, comfy, non-nauseous, you know, it would really help me like sit there and observe that landscape a little bit better and hopefully bring some more information for my paintings. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to go to the jungle and stay a whole week with no internet or, no electricity and bathing with a bucket and the mosquitoes and the mud and the being in the hammock and the food. And then you do a ceremony and then you feel the spirit of the rainforest because it's right there. And like, that's a different experience. And the puking and everybody's, it's disgusting because everybody else is going through it. But there's something beautiful about people just like, like just very tribally getting their face in the bucket and getting dirty and coming out and it's successful. That's a very beautiful process too that I would not stop. It's about timing.
No, for sure. I think listen, the culture behind this and the indigenous culture behind this and the traditions are very important and one thing that should never be overlooked or given less attention to, because that's literally when you talk about the OG healers, that's it. That's the roots, man.
Yeah, they got hundreds to thousands of years of tradition. Just the songs itself are precise codes, from different tribes too. I've done, obviously you got your shamanic Shipibo Icaros, but then you get some Yawanawa tribe from Brazil. It's more like heavy metal shamanic music, and it's like a deep scrub, it almost feels like they're scrubbing your soul really aggressively, but it's like getting the medicine, the medicine dances to the music inside you and then does things. So it's almost like a conductor of an orchestra being like, okay, now I do this. Okay, now let's liberate that soul there. Let's unlock. It's pretty cool and it's very special. And I guess when it comes now to the more modern science, clinical, therapeutical way, we have to become our own shamans and be like, okay, where we at, Chris? What we got? Anything that needs to be addressed? What is this little dark spot there? Let's expand. Okay, this is a trauma from age 12 and a half. Oh yeah, that day, huh? That sucks. Okay, can we heal it or let's put some, let's honor it for the lessons it taught us, but now let's put that phloem around it and just it's not, we're not throwing it in the garbage because it happened and we can't get rid of our traumas, but we can heal it. And it's almost like a wound that just gets cicatriz or like a scar, you see, still see the scars of your wounds and tattoos, but they're not in pain anymore. They've healed. They're there. So there's evidence of the wound, but it's not, getting in the way of your life anymore.
More of a reminder of the growth that's taken place rather than the actual trauma itself.
Right.
Yeah.
So that'd be a nice way to, continue healing ourselves to the point where we're all of such high frequency that the whole world turns to a high frequency. And then we just step into a 5-dimensional golden age that we've been promised. So
heaven on earth.
If we do our work.
Yes.
And here we are.
And I truly
trying our best.
I truly believe that's where we're headed, man.
Nice.
Well, listen, thank you. Thank you so much for not only coming out here and creating some amazing art for us, but sitting down with us today on the show and really, getting into everything that we spoke about. I appreciate
trusting
you.
us to do a treatment with us and have a journey.
Yeah, thank you. It was lovely. You guys are lovely too. Thank you for having me over to paint for you.
Thank you, man.
Yay.
All right, everybody. This was another episode of the My Self Wellness Podcast. And just remember, if nobody's told you that they love you lately, we do.